Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing testing the test rides as we do every single week. This is the Caravan Proven, it's the Diamond Casino car. Let's get this thing started. Okay, so like I said, this was the Caravan Proven and it is the Diamond Casino car this week. Honestly, this car is probably worth trying to get. I didn't have any troubles with this car. I took the corners well, I braked well, handles well, everything about the car is great. So yeah, I'd honestly say go for it. I think I'm going to start talking about the vehicles at the start and end of every video now. This is the Karin Calco GTF. You can find this at the Alice Car Meet. It is the prize ride. You can win it by coming first 3 days in a row. Honestly, not that hard. And honestly, a car I would recommend, but let's test drive this thing out. Okay, so this is the Karin Calco GTF. I've said that at the start, this is the prize ride this week. Could win it by coming first 3 days in a row. Like I said, it's not that hard. But I know I crashed like near that first turn, but I'm going to actually give it the benefit of the doubt. I actually think this car is good at taking corners, and this car brakes well, hands well, and it looks great when it's modified. I've done this car like 3 times. No joke, I've actually done this car like 3 times. This is the Vulture. This can be found at the Alice Car Meet. It's a sports car. Before I forget to say it, I'm just going to say this right now. The Caravan Proven is not only the Diamond Casino car, it's also a test ride at the Alice Car Meet, so I'm not test driving that one again. Okay, this is the Emperor Vulture again. It's at the Ellis car meet. This car performs well, handles well, brakes well. Everything about the car is great. I can't really find any downsides to the car. I mean, I can think of one, but I guess it's more like if you buy it or not. I don't know if this car would have any decent upgrades. I feel like this car would probably be kind of like the Reaper, but I don't know about that one. But if it's not, then it's probably worth getting. But I'm going to say you can go for it, but don't make this a top priority. The Karen Sultan RS Classic. This can be found at the Ellis Car Meet, and it's a test drive. And one thing I forgot to mention about all these cars that we've test driven so far is that the Ellis Car Meet cars have special limited time deliveries, so you might want to go take a look at the Ellis Car Meet for these cars. I was just saying. Anyway, let's test drive this thing out. Okay, the Karen Sultan RS Classic. Go for it. I love the vehicle. I generally love these looks for vehicles. I remember this car looks kind of similar to a car I used to play in a previous game known as Juiced or Need for Speed Underground 2. I'm pretty sure it was in that game too, and that might be a more familiar game with you guys. But yeah, I really like this car. I honestly would say go for it. Brings back memories for me. Okay, this is the Canis Triminus. I tried, okay? Anyway, this is an off-road and you can find it at the luxury showrooms. Okay, so this is the Triminus. Okay, I tried. I'm not good at pronunciation, okay? What can I say? This can be found at the luxury showroom, like I said before at the start of the video. This car is pretty good. It's an off-roader. It can take corners well, brakes well, handles well. I'd say go for it. It's actually not a bad car, and I've actually tried this thing off-road before, and it's actually not that bad. This is the Vivinite. This is a car that I think my friend wanted me to upgrade, but I said to him that we couldn't do it because it wasn't a test ride at the time. Anyway, this can be found at the luxury showroom. Let's move on to the test drive. this is the Vivid Night. Again, you'll find us at the luxury place. This car, it's pretty good. Takes corners well, brakes well. It's basically like every other car we've tested driven this day. Anyway, would I recommend it? Probably, but don't make this a top priority. I don't think this car is amazing, but I think this car still looks good. Okay, well, my friend would probably think otherwise of this, but anyway, let's move on to the next one. I moved this test drive all the way up here because I didn't really want to test drive this thing for too long, so this is the first test you can find it at Simeon's place. Let's move on to the test drive. Okay, the braking could be better on this car, but turning and handling is alright. But I still wouldn't really recommend it. I mean, I think I have upgraded this car before. And it did have some upgrades, but this is just another off-roader. No joke, guys. This is actually an off-roader. It's not considered a motorcycle. Anyway, let's move on to the next. That's it. You know what? Actually, let's move on to a motorcycle. It's a Hachiku motorcycle. I really don't know how to pronounce this thing. This thing has a hard name to pronounce, but I'll put it on the screen right now for you guys so you guys can see the name. Try and pronounce it yourself. Try and say it 5 times. Anyway, let's move on to the test drive. Okay, I'm not going to pronounce this vehicle again, but I'll put it on the screen again for you right here. Anyway, this bike can take corners well, it brakes well, and handles well. And to be honest, this is probably a bike I would actually recommend you buy because it actually has some pretty decent speed, and it might help in time trial situations. But I doubt that people are going to probably get this thing, but I would actually recommend this one. It might help in time trials. So, just a Karen 190Z. This can be found at Simeon's place, and let's just drive it. okay, the 190Z, or the Karin 190Z, whatever you prefer to call it. This thing can be found at Simeon's Place. It's a sports classic car, and this actually can take corners well, handles well, brakes well. I'd recommend it, but maybe don't make this a first priority. There's been a lot of situations like that in this video, haven't there? Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is the Ennis Silvestre. This can be found at Simeon's Place. Let's test drive this thing out. Okay, the Ennis Silvestre. It's actually not a bad car. I had my eyes off the screen for a second and I crashed the car. Okay, that's what happened. Yeah, I had my eyes off the screen for a second. Anyway, the car can take corners well, brakes well, handles well. I can't say much about this car except get it. It's actually not a bad car. It's the ETR1, the Emperor ETR1. This thing can be found at Simeon's Place. It's a supercar, and honestly, I'm just going to say it right now. I think this car is actually worth getting. It's actually not a bad looking car, but let's just move on to the test drive. Okay, so the ETR1 found at Simeon's Place. Not a bad car at all. I honestly would recommend this car. It's actually a really nice car to drive. Good looking car. Best. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite looking cars. I'm not gonna lie. It's really close to being the top, but still. It takes corners well, brakes well, handles well. Everything about the car is great, so I honestly would recommend it. The only criticism I have is the fact that I couldn't remove a livery from this when I started this race. So, yeah. This is a claimable vehicle from the salvage yard if you decide to go for it. This is the Dinka Blister Canjo. You can find it at the salvage yard. Let's test this thing out. Okay, so I know I crashed there, but I think it might have something to do with the weather being rainy and it might make your car harder to drive. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I actually think this car does perform well. It may be a front wheel drive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean, I base cars off of looks primarily. And I actually think this car looks alright. Okay, it's not that bad of a looking car. This is the Tinker Plus Kenjo, in case I haven't said already. You'll find it's a Supercharged and it's also a claimable vehicle. So, yeah, I'd say go for it, but don't make it a top priority. Again, it's honestly not a bad looking vehicle. This thing is found at the salvage yard. Unfortunately, it's not claimable, but you're going to have to buy it if you want it. But I'm just here to test drive it for you. So let's move on to that now. Okay, I'm actually going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I know I crashed a lot there, but honestly, driving in wet weather is dangerous, okay? I would know. Anyway, this car can take corners well, it brakes well, it handles well, and you can find this car at the salvage yard. Unfortunately, you can't buy it because, well, it's not a claimable vehicle, but this is suggested RR, and I think that's everything I need to say about the car. Do I think this is worth it? Absolutely, I love the look of this car. I don't think I've done this car many times, but I do know that I've upgraded this car before, and it actually does look pretty nice when it's upgraded. Fully upgraded. Anyway, let's move on to the final vehicle of the day. This is the Pista Growler. This thing can be found at the salvage yard. Unfortunately, you can't claim it, you can only sell it, but you could probably buy it from the website and stuff if you want it. But let's move on to the test drive. Okay, the Pista Growler. Honestly, more worth it than the previous car. This car can take corners well, brakes well, handles well, it even handles well in wet weather. Even though it doesn't look wet, it was wet at the start. Anyway, this car definitely worth getting. I honestly would recommend this car.